were protesting for Palestinian rights to Adolf Hitler.
They're literally chasing the Jewish students around UCLA and blocking their access.
There aren't
From the river to the sea doesn't mean let's cooperate.
There aren't many more pro-Israel Democrats that you will find than myself. And so I hear you, and I understand that their anti-Semitism needs to be rooted out. But what I'm also saying is that your comment was way far beyond the pale. But I want to go back to John Kelly. I want to go back to John Kelly for a second, because all of you all have humbly come to John Kelly and say that we agree with what you said. But I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine if anybody dare say that Kamala Harris praised Adolf Hitler. Imagine if anybody dare say that Kamala Harris was a fascist. Imagine if anybody dare say Kamala Harris believed in authoritarianism. Just think about that. Kamala Harris is having to run the 110 hurdles with high heels on and do a backflip at the end and land a perfect somersault in order to just be in the race with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump gets to have his former chief of staff say that he was a communist, say that he was an authoritarian, a fascist, and praise Adolf Hitler. And Republicans in this country sit here and sit on their hands. And so, yes, you know what's crazy? I don't necessarily agree with all the college protests either, Scott.
They're not just in college, by the way. There's plenty of non-college,
That's fine. And that's all good and dandy. But what's also crazy, what we're saying is we're agreeing on that. And we can agree on that. And me and you, we can go out on these college campuses and have those discussions. And Ashley may disagree with me on that. And that's fine. That is what happens at this table with Abby Phillip. But the most amazing thing is that Donald Trump is the only man I know who can have David Urban and Scott Jennings and other Republicans, when someone praises Adolf Hitler, simply say,
he said it didn't happen.
No,
I'm sorry.
Bakari, hold on. Not across that line. Okay, because because I'm not saying that praising Adolf Hitler is a good thing. Scott's not saying praising Adolf Hitler is a good thing. Neither of us are saying that.
So we're not saying that. Let me be clear. Because I want to be clear with you. Because both of us are friends, so I want to be extremely clear. Yep. What I am saying, though, is that you're in a pretzel right now because there is someone, back this up. If Kamala Harris, if there was anybody, Maya Harris or Tony West or David Plouffe or anybody else came out and said Kamala Harris praised Adolf Hitler, how would you be right now?
I would be, that's a bad thing to say, right? I would say it's a terrible thing to say, right? Yes. But I guarantee you that Kamala Harris' team would say she didn't say it, just as what's happening now. And the same things happen. So that's why people in America don't believe half this stuff, Bakari, because it comes out. Half the people say it did happen. Half the people say it didn't happen. And everyone's left 14 days from the election shrugging their shoulders saying, white noise.
Oh, thank you, Bakari Sellers. Thank you. Oh, God, I'm still in the afterglow of the three-way with Tristan Snell, JoJo from Jurors, and this guy. His tweets all the time. I know you are a fan as well, Brooklyn Dad, but he just said, breaking, Trump considering Judge Aileen Cannon and indicted former Deputy AG Jeffrey Clark for U.S. Attorney General if he wins. This should be grounds for immediate investigation. Cannon, is there a quid pro quo in the Mar-a-Lago case? Clark, a blatant case of witness tampering. God bless him for just continuing to call out lawbreaking when we feel like we don't live in a nation of laws anymore, right?
Indeed. And first, I want to say thank you for joining us at the event last night. Heroes for Democracy was a huge success. We ended up raising over $100,000. And I think it was $115,000. And we had over 100,000 viewers. And what else was I going to say? Oh, we're doing another one next Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
So your listeners are paying attention there. 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, October 29th. I don't know if we'll get those guests as beautiful and famous as yourself.
Or in bed. I was literally in bed. But no, you guys are all heroes to me. I mean, and you had an amazing, all of our beloveds, basically, including y'all and, Allison Gill and on, right?
Yeah. Martina Navratilova.
Yes, I heard about that.
That was huge.
By the way, you said if we're all in agreement that Jeffrey Epstein was a horrible, horrible person and Donald Trump was good buddies with him and all over his call logs and flight logs, why is this election so close? And you were saying that everyone thinks we all have inside information. Like everyone's like grabbing us by what is going on? And here's the thing. I'm sure you go through this too, Brooklyn Dad, where you want people to be scared and turn out. You don't want to get complacent. We have, that 2016 PTSD. But at the same time, you do hear from a lot of people that we trust, like the Simon Rosenbergs and Christopher Boozies, that there are these red state that predicted the red wave. There's all this polling that is meant to skew the averages, to set the table for, oh, look, it was rigged, the election was stolen, Trump was way ahead, yada, yada. So where are you on all that in terms of, terrified?
Daily.
Yeah.
And like literally every other day I have to call a friend to just kind of help to to refocus me, to help adjust my perspective, because it is, as you said, the zone has been flooded by a bunch of Republican polls that are designed to make it look as though going into election day he is ahead, he is winning, when they're just junk polls, and the same
Right.
kind of junk polls that told us in 2022 there was going to be a red wave. So I I agree with the notion that it's actually a good thing that we don't get complacent going into election day. I think it's important for us to all turn out the vote, because that's all there is at this point. The name of
Yeah.
the game is turnout. So it's getting your neighbors and your coworkers and your niece and your nephew and your aunts and uncles and grandparents to vote. Nobody in a blue state, nobody in a red state should be complacent and say, my vote's not going to matter. Every single
Yep.
vote matters.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And by the way, so polling, you also said Donald Trump's support among his main base, non-college white voters, is sagging and going soft. He can't seem to keep it up. Many people are calling it electoral dysfunction. He cannot Arnold Palmer those numbers. But yeah, I mean, there certainly are a lot of. We were saying the two major independent polls that came out yesterday. Harris is ahead by the same amount she was in the last one, like 4 or 5 points. And so I think you're right. It's like depends on what poll you're looking at. I mean, obviously, it looks like the swing states are very close. So I think you're absolutely right. It's just turnout, turnout, turnout. That's all we can keep saying, right?
Indeed, and I think um, I think he's been shrinking his base. I can't imagine that he is adding new voters. In the past month, he has said enough things to tank like 5 presidential campaigns, let alone just his one. We're seeing, Really American had a post yesterday that went pretty viral about farmers. Republican farmers are coming out for him. Like conservative Republicans
Yeah.
like Dick freaking Cheney
Yeah.
are coming out. When did you ever think we were going to be on the same side as Darth Vader? I didn't have that on my bat blank bingo card. You see what I did there?
Well,
Since
I
so,
see. I would see what you did. No, I actually, to your point, there was a story about that. Trump was put on the spot by a Latino farmer, worried his migrant deportation plans are going to leave him unable to get crops from the fields. Trump responded with how much farmers love him. That's always his only response. It's me.
yeah.
The Guardian revealed farmers have turned away from Trump in recent years because he's cost them so much in profits. Trump goes on to claim that farmers have done horribly under the Biden administration. The USDA said farmers have reached record highs in 2022. He's just running on a solid wall of lies, as I say nearly every day here. He's
And,
running on the opposite of what is true.
yes, and he's running on the cachet of the illusion that that he is some kind of uh, guru at business. He's not good at business. He's horrendous at business. He's really bad.
Yeah.
And I like that President Obama has recently taken to setting the record straight when you're waxing nostalgically about how great the Trump economy was. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing? That was my economy."
Yeah.
I can't do Obama, but
Yeah. Don't boo, vote. Okay. But you also said, good morning, happy Tuesday to everyone who agrees we can't let obsequious MAGA Republicans sane wash and sweep Trump's enemies from within under the rug with the news cycle. Using the military and our citizens is dangerous, undemocratic, and disqualifying, period. Well, that's what John Kelly said made him speak out. Again, but I feel like how many warnings can we have? But I think it goes to your point. I think there's that, what we obsess on sometimes is the MAGA cult. You're going, oh my God, how come it doesn't matter what he says? Or, yeah, but he's not getting anybody in the middle or any Republicans with a lot of that crap, right?
The thing that makes horror movies so effective is that, or so scary, is that as you're watching, you see people who seem reasonable. They've been set up as by the writers and the directors as being like smart, sensible people, and then they do dumb things like they walk into that door where there's growling coming in from behind, and they don't have a gun or a knife or a blunt object or even a flashlight. They just go in there in the dark, and you're screaming at the screen, "What are you doing?" And likewise, this election is that.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.